welcome to all the participants, resource person and advisors team of ThickNess Learning Community. We, ThickNess Learning Community, are happy to have you here for the international webinar on Let's Learn About Cloud. We would like to mention that we have got 250 plus registration across India and overseas. We, ThickNess Learning Community, is a new online startup zeroing in on sharing the knowledge through collaborative studies by organizing expertise and professional talks, inspiring and motivating young minds towards entrepreneurial leadership vision through various programs, and accelerating women empowerment that comes to scale up to the quality of their life. Our upcoming webinars are Life, Chance or a Choice, Insight of UPSC Examination, Integration of Image Processing and Artificial Intelligence for Intelligent System Development, IoT, Cybersecurity, etc. And now, I'd like to introduce a young and dynamic resource person, Mr. Poovarasan Manickam, Technical Lead, Infosys, Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. Mr. Poovarasan has completed his BE in Electronics and Communication Engineering in K.S. Rangasamy College of Technology, Namakkal, Tamil Nadu in the year 2009. Mr. Poovarasan, having 11 years of industry experience, of which 6 years in US, is working in Infosys for a major banking client. Oracle Certified Java Developer and Cloudera Certified Hadoop Developer. Expertise in Java, J2EE and Stringwave wireframe. Expertise in outbound communication and banking domain about cards and payments. Having experience in security platforms for various applications. With this note, once again, I would like to welcome our resource person and all the members of ThickNess Learning Community to this international webinar. Over to the resource person.
Thank you, Karthik. Good morning, everyone. So, first of all, let me thank ThickNess Learning Community for giving me this opportunity for having this session about cloud. Let me share my screen and then we will get started. Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so today's session is about cloud basically. So what we are going to see is like what is cloud and how it's booming in IT industry, and for engineering graduates how it can help you. So everything we will cover up. So before getting into cloud, I want to understand from you guys like do you have any knowledge about cloud or just any idea about cloud, so that based on that I'll introduce accordingly. You can comment in YouTube channel and then I can just see the replays here. Okay. Okay, and when coming into IT industry, so there are different roles, technical roles we can think of. Like one is like a basic developer role. This is the important role where every development happen, and then there is a tester role where they will test the applications for all the development application. And there is an infrastructure engineer, which they will procure about your servers and then your configuration for deploying your application and everything. And then network engineer, they will take care of your networking because your application needs to interact with the internet and intranet. So all those networking will be taken care by network engineers. And then cybersecurity engineer. So with all this networking and everything coming into picture, there is a great threat for cybersecurity. And then every organization has to take an important step in cybersecurity and make sure the application and data are safe. Otherwise, we will see the data loss incidents and everything. So cybersecurity is one of the important field. And then we also have a support engineers. So what support engineers do is like you develop an application and deploy into production. And after that, someone needs to support that application, right? So someone needs to monitor the application and fix any bugs coming in the production, because production is like a user environment where the end user will uses the application. So the application needs to up and running always. And then database administrator. So database administrator is like every application will have some database, SQL database, NoSQL database. So all these databases are maintained by the database administrator. So these are the different roles we have in IT industry. I'll explain you how as a developer an application is developed, and then I will go into cloud, because you first need to understand how an application is developed. Then only you can go into what is cloud and what is server and all, then only you will understand. Okay. Any questions so far? You can just pin your questions in the YouTube channel. I'll respond then and there. Okay, let's move to the next slide. So how do we develop an application? Okay, so assume after your college graduation, you join a company, and in IT industry, there are different roles which I mentioned earlier. So how do you develop an application in an IT industry? So how do you get projects? I'll just give a brief background about that. So you'll get an idea once you enter into an IT industry, how it's going to be. Okay. So once you enter into an IT industry, you will be trained in some domain like Java, .NET, data science, Python. So all these are depends on the company projects. Okay. They might have a lot of openings in Java, or they might have a lot of requirement in Python. So accordingly, you will be trained during your training period. Some companies have training period and some don't have. You will be directly just given a learning courses, and then you can just start coding right away. So after your training period, once you get into a project, okay, uh, I'll just go to one slide first. Okay. Okay, once you join as a fresher in a company, so what will you get is you will allocated into a project. So what you will do in a project, what is mean by project? Okay, uh, if you take a project example, an end-to-end application is called a project. We will call it as a project. So if you log into a banking system and do an online payment, or if you use Paytime, or if you use Uber for your rides, everything is an application. So that's developed by a project team or technical team. So how that application is developed, that is the steps I have explained here. Okay. So to develop an application, first you need to code an application, right? So in your college projects, if you see in your final year projects or something, you will code something and show a demo, right? So that's how you need to code a project. For that, you will choose a language, either Java or Python or .NET, whatever the language you are trained and whatever you are comfortable, you will be given, and then you need to code a project. And once coding is done, you need to test and deploy in your local. So local in the sense you have your Eclipse and you have your Tomcat server. In college and all, we used to have Tomcat servers for deployment and testing, right? So you need to deploy your application and test it locally. So once you comfortable and once you feel your application is ready and can be tested by other people, then you will deploy into a server. Server I have mentioned here. There are if you see the step one, there is a dev, there is a QA, and there is a prod. So three kind of application servers will be there. So dev is for development. You develop an application, you test it in your local, and you deploy in your development server, and you can test it from a development server. So development server means any developer can test it. So that is a development environment. And QA environment. So QA environment is like it's a pre-prod environment. Once you develop your application, you have to move your application to QA. So QA is like where testing people will test it. So in the first slide, I'll show the roles, right? There is a tester role. So QA people will test your application and will make sure you don't have any bugs in your application. Once all the, once all the cases are tested, then tester will provide a sign off, and then you will move into a prod environment. Prod environment is the one. Prod environment is production environment. Production environment is the one. Sorry. Production environment is the one where the end user will use the application. Like I said, you are logging to a banking application, you are using a Paytm, so you are an end user and you are using the application deployed in the production environment. Okay, so any questions so far? Okay, and then so once all these development, QA and production is done, the people will the end user will start using your application. And then if there are any bugs, suppose if I'm using a Paytm or if I'm using an Uber app and I'm seeing some bugs, I'm not able to book a ride, so I'll report it to the Uber team, right? So they will raise a bug and then assign it to a development team back, and then they will fix it, and then all these bugs will be fixed and then promoted again. So this is a like a recurring cycle where once an application is developed, there could be a bugs and there could be a lot of maintenance activities, and there could be a lot of additional requirements added to the application. So all these things we will do as a developer. Okay. Now coming to the role of infrastructure engineer or network engineer. Okay. So you need to deploy your application in development, QA, and production, right? So you need some server to deploy. Like you have Tomcat in your local. In for end users, you need some server to deploy your application. So for that, infrastructure people is needed and network engineering people is needed. So they will procure the servers and then they will do all the configurations for you, and then you have to just deploy your application. Okay, so two things your infrastructure engineers will do. One is like, first of all, they will procure the server, and second thing is they will configure the server. Server configurations in the sense like they have to configure the Java JDK and then runtime environment and then database configurations, and then all those configurations related to your application. It will be done by an infrastructure and network engineer. They will just do all the backend work. It's like computer configuration, right? You for coding you need a computer, and then similarly for deploying your application you need a server. So all these configurations will be taken care by all those engineers, and they will hand over to the servers in your development environment. You have to deploy your application, and then if there is some issues like network issues, if you are not able to connect to some other server, because there are when you go into production environment, it's likely you will go with 5 to 10 servers for a single application. Suppose if you are using a say ICICI Bank website, if you log into ICICI Bank website, it's just like a website for us, but in the back end there could be some 10 to 15 servers running behind that. All those servers needs to be maintained, and everything will be done by the infrastructure and network engineers. Any questions? Okay. So all these steps I have mentioned in this slide, like step one, if you see, infrastructure engineer procures and configure servers, and network engineers configure network. And then once everything is done, developer writes the code and then deploy into development server. And then he also deploy into test server and asks the tester to test the application and provides the sign up. Once tester tests the application and he provides the sign up, say everything I tested and everything looks fine, then you will be given a sign up. Then you are ready to deploy your application into production. So then you can work with the infrastructure engineers again and configure the servers in production, and then deploy your application also in production, and then end users will start using the application. Okay, so this is what from developer perspective. I'm a developer, Java developer. So from my perspective, even when you enter into IT industry, from developer perspective, what you need to think of. Okay, I said right, you will get into a project, but getting into a project and start coding, there are some things you have to do before start coding, because say you will be given an application. Say develop me a website for ICICI Bank. Okay, suppose they are giving you a project and ask you to develop a website for ICICI Bank. You cannot simply just design HTML pages and then log in and then just deploy it into production, right? So you need to know the requirement. What are all the requirements? They will give you requirement like I need the login can be attempted only for 3 times, and if user gives the password invalid for 3 times, account should be logged. And also once logged into the home page, they should be seeing the account balance. Everything is a requirement. So each and everything, if you go into some website, say ICICI or HDFC, whatever website, if you go into a website and if you see click payment and then manage accounts and then add pay, everything is a future and everything is a requirement. So you need to understand what requirement you got from the product owners. Product owners is the one who gives you the requirements. Okay, they will give you the requirement and you need to understand the requirement first. Suppose if they give simply say design a login page, you cannot simply just create a login page. You should get clarified whether the login should attempt failure attempt also, and how many failure attempts it should accept, and whether it should log the user after 3 failure attempts or something. So everything should be clearly stated, and accordingly, you should first design your application. Okay, and so for web applications and all, we usually design a wireframes. Wireframe is like a mock screens, and we will show to the product owner. This is how the UI is going to be, and once user logins to the page, this is how they are going to see the page. Once you share the wireframe, once product owner is happy with the wireframe, then you will go and develop, and you need to interact with your database also, because all these user credentials and information about user, you need to store the data somewhere, because data is important thing in the industry. Any industry, data is very important. So you have to manage data, and you have to see how the data can be stored, and how encrypted the data, because it's a account number, right? Anyone can hack it and then take the account number. So you have to make sure the account number is encrypted. All those things you have to take care, and then you write the data into database. So for writing the data into database, you will use the Java or JDBC clients and everything. So all these things you will understand from the requirement from itself. Once requirement is very clear, then you will need to estimate your effort. Estimation like how long you are going to take. Suppose if you are going to design a web application, so you need to precisely tell how long you are going to take for the application. If you're going to design a home page, I need 2 weeks of time. If I'm going to design a login page, I need just 2 to 3 days. So once everything is estimated, then you can work with your product owner and Scrum Master. Scrum Master is like your manager. So you no need to interact with your product owner every time. So you have to just interact with your Scrum Master, and they can schedule a calls for you with your managers and everything, with your product owners and everything, and they can coordinate all the non-technical things for you. Okay, as a developer, your role is just get the requirements and do the code. The next step is you will write the code. Once you write the code, then you will, as I said in the earlier conversations, you have to test it in your local first, because testing in local is very important. Even in your college project, you guys will test it first, right? Before showing it to your staffs and presentation, you will first test and make sure everything is working fine. So similarly, you will test it in your local, and then you will deploy in the servers, which I mentioned in the previous slide. So you will deploy here in the dev server and QA server and product server. Okay, any questions? Okay, sure. Okay. So now coming to cloud. Okay, so now you might have got an idea what is a server and what are the roles developers are doing, and now where is cloud is coming into picture. Okay, so first step I told, right? Infrastructure engineers need to procure a server. Okay, they need to configure, and they need to install a Java, JDK environment, everything. So all those things, first they will procure and install and do all the configurations. That is a server. Okay, now what is cloud? So all those things will be taken care by a third party. Say for example, you don't own a server. Okay, you no need to own a server, you no need to do a configuration. and you no need to create any settings for specific server. All you have to do is deploy your code into cloud. So cloud is servers are sitting somewhere. So it no need to be in your office premises, or it no need to be in your office also, in your company also. So there are some third-party cloud providers are available, like AWS, Google, GCP. Everything is a cloud provider. So they have their own set of servers maintaining, and you are going to deploy your application into their cloud environment. So it's like you are going to use, yeah, you are going, just like assume you are going to rent a house and you are going to use it. Similarly, you are going to rent a server and you are going to deploy your application into a cloud service. Okay. So for renting, you need to pay, right? Similarly, you have to pay some amount for procuring the servers and using it. Okay. So this is the cloud. Okay. And now coming to estimation, I want to you guys to understand like what is the importance of cloud, because now we have infrastructure engineer, they procure server and they do all the configuration. Now cloud is coming, that's also a server. And what is the advantage of cloud and why everyone is talking about cloud? What benefits it have? So for that you need to understand uh, project estimation. The previous conversation I told, right? You have to estimate your project. Similarly, you have to estimate how much effort you need to, uh, how much effort you need. Okay, just hold on for a minute. My laptop Okay. Uh, so sorry for the interruption, guys. There was some technical issues in my laptop. Okay. Let's continue. And then I was talking about like you need to size properly, and then you will deploy into your application, right? So for in a traditional application, in a traditional approach, for deploying an application into a traditional servers, I'll just give you an idea how much effort will be needed, and for the same effort, I'll give you an idea with cloud how it's going to be reduced drastically. So for deploying an application into a traditional server, first of all, I said you need to procure a server, right? So server procurement will take at least minimum 2 weeks time, just procurement alone. And then infrastructure engineer will configure all those configurations, database configurations, and then server settings, everything they will do, right? So all those things will take at least around, say maybe 4 or 5 weeks minimum. It's a minimum time, and there can be some delay happening at client end or some customer end, and it will delay further also. So you will need at least 5 weeks just to procure and configure a server. And then as a developer, you need to write a code and then deploy into server. So assume the total development time for a project with server procurement till deployment into a development environment. You will take at least minimum 8 to 9 weeks. Okay, that's how the traditional application will work. But with cloud coming into picture, okay. So with cloud coming into picture, and how it's going to reduce is like you are not going to procure a server. Okay, there is a already set of servers provided by AWS or Google Cloud, and you are just going to spin up a server. To get an idea, you can just create an account in aws.in. I'll just share the links to Kirtik, and he can share in the post in the YouTube comment after the session. So you guys can just log into the website and see. You will get an idea how to procure a server and everything. You will get an idea. So you just going to log into the website aws.in and just click spin a server. It will create a server for you, and it will and while creating a server, you can also choose what kind of configurations you need. You need Java JDK, or you need database. I need Oracle DB, or I need AWS MongoDB or NoSQL DB. So everything you can just select during the server configuration itself. You don't need your infrastructure, no need infrastructure engineer, no need to sit and configure everything manually. All you have to do is log into the website, just click, and your server will be ready within a minute. Probably it will take, for first time it will take some 5 to 10 minutes, and from second servers onwards, it will just take some 5 to 10 seconds, and your server will be ready. So that is the impact of cloud. So definitely it's uh, changing a lot of efforts and reducing a lot of efforts in IT industry. That's why every team is moving towards cloud. If you go into any IT industry now, all they are doing is they are migrating every application from a legacy traditional application into a cloud application. So first of all, it reduces effort. Once you reduce this effort means your time to market will be very less. So earlier in traditional application, you will take 8 weeks to develop and deploy an application. Now with cloud coming into picture, you will just take 2 weeks maximum to develop and deploy an application and bringing it to life. So first of all, the advantage, that's the main advantage of cloud. Its time to market is very less. And then another feature of cloud is auto scaling. So what is auto scaling? So any idea auto scaling? Auto scaling is like, suppose assume you are doing a project, okay, and your workload increases, and what you will do, you will add another person to your project, right? So when your workload increases and you don't have time to do that, you will just share your workload with some other person. So similarly, that's what auto scaling also. You have some two servers initially created for an application, but the server's capacity is not enough for your application. Suppose you are getting millions of requests. When you see in terms of production environment or end user environment, when you go to the banking application, it will be like millions of requests will come into picture. So you cannot manage only with two servers. All you have to do is you need to keep on adding your server till your application is stable. Okay. So in traditional way, again, infrastructure engineer will create one more server and do all the configurations, everything they will do, the same effort. Maybe they will, first time they might have taken 4 weeks. Now they might have taken 2 weeks because they already have experience and knowledge about how to configure that particular application. So, but still they have to do everything manually. And with cloud, auto scaling comes into picture. Auto scaling is like the cloud application will decide. Suppose it sees high load in the application, it will spin up the server immediately. And for some days, the application load is very less, say 2 or 3 requests. It will spin down the servers automatically, and accordingly it will manage. So assume you have 5 servers initially created using your cloud, and you have high load on Tuesday or Wednesday. It will automatically spin up 10 servers on the day. And say Friday you don't have much users for your application, only 1 or 2 users will log in, it will reduce back to 5. So this is what auto scaling feature is, and how it's going to impact in cost. Because for 5 servers, assume for 1 server, in terms of money, assume I'm going to pay, just for an example, I'm going to pay rupees 1,000. Okay, for 5 server I'm going to pay 5,000 per day. And with auto scaling into picture, and during high load day, I need 10 server, so 10,000. So instead of constantly keeping 10 servers permanently, for high load days, I'm paying 10,000. Once on the Friday, there is no request going to come, 1 or 2 user going to use, and I'm going to spin it back to 5,000. So you are just going to save at least 5,000 here, right? So this is what auto scaling and the cost cutting. Okay, so you are going to save the cost as well, and it's going to help your application also. That's what auto scaling and downsizing. And now, what is circuit breaker? Circuit breaker is like you are getting a request, okay, and then your application is failing to cater that request. Suppose you are sending a request, and there is some application error in my application itself, and my application is not able to process your request. So what my application will do is, for any further request, because my application is not able to handle your request, and it don't want to burden the server. Okay, so what it will do is, for any further request of from you, it will just keep on denying the request, so that the load will be reduced and the application will have time to heal its applications. Okay, heal its server. Okay, so it will need time to heal, right? So it will just say stop the request for some 15-20 minutes, and then it will take the time to heal. And then once the server is up and running fine, then it will allow the request back. Okay, till then all your requests are blocked, and then you will get an error message as usual. But from server's perspective and application load perspective, if you can see, the server is not getting the exact load. Circuit breaker is doing the job. It's just stopping the request, and it will sending back the request to you, and internally it heals. And then once the application heals, then only you will get the request. So it definitely helps a lot in application health also. And then next thing is failure routing. Failure routing means if all the applications or if all the servers are down, then circuit breaker comes into picture. And you have 3 servers, and one of the server went down. Other 2 servers are up and running fine. So what you will do? You want to route all the requests to all those 2 servers. Okay, with traditional approach, we use that manually. So we use the FI routing. FI routing is what, it's a router basically. It will route the request from load balancer. In a application, any request comes to a load balancer. Load balancer will just, you have studied in a college networking and all. So it will just first in, first out, all those logics. So load balancer will receive the request, and it will just route the request to all the servers. It will balance, make sure all the servers receives equal balance. Because if one server keep on getting high load, the server might go down. So that is basically the load balancer job. So now with failure routing, with traditional approach, with when a failure happens for one server, you have to stop the server manually, and you have to configure the load balancer and route the request to another server manually. Okay, with cloud coming into picture, this failure routing will happen automatically. So what it will do is, when request comes, and server will understand it is failed. Okay, so any further request, it will not route to that particular server. It will route to the rest of the server for till the failure is fixed. Okay, and once the developer fixes the failure in the particular server, or an infrastructure engineer uh, fixes the bug in that particular server, then it will just do the health check for that server. It will see whether the server is up and running now or not.
Once it's running, then it will route all the requests back again. So that is what failure routing. Okay, so effort in cloud is like, as I said earlier, right? You will need like 4 or 8 weeks for just developing a legacy application. But when it coming into cloud, it will just take only minimum 3 weeks. It's just a estimate. So your effort will be reduced drastically when you're going into cloud. So it will help IT industry in terms of cost saving, and then time to market, and then auto scaling features. Everything, we have a lot of opportunities in cloud, and most of the IT industries are just going to cloud. Okay. Okay, now what are the different cloud providers? You can just ping in the chat if you have any idea what are the different cloud providers. Even I mentioned in the conversations. So we have AWS. AWS is from Amazon, and then GCP. GCP is Google Cloud Platform. So I'll show my first slide. If you see my introduction slide, so we have these many cloud providers: Amazon Web Services, VMware, Citrix, and Red Hat OpenShift, and then so everything like say we have a lot of networks, right? SIM cards, Airtel, Vodafone. Similarly, these are all the cloud providers which give you all the. These are all the cloud providers which give you all the efforts, and their cost will vary for each cloud provider. So you can choose according to your company requirement and company budget and everything. Okay. And okay, all these things I have explained in the earlier slides. So on-premises is what the servers which we do in traditional way. Okay, I in the sense like network engineer or infrastructure engineer will create the application, will create data, will create runtime, will create middleware, and will create operating system, will configure server, will create storage. So everything infrastructure engineer will do. That is what on-premise or the server, basically traditional approach. Now, when you come into cloud, so platform as a service, software as a service, these are cloud, and infrastructure as a service is a partial cloud. Partial cloud in the sense you will no need to bother about server and storage. That will become automatically. You only need to bother about only the JDK installation, operating system installation, all those things you have to bother. That's partial cloud. And platform as a service, we call it as a PaaS. Okay, so platform as a service is the complete cloud. So all you have to do is deploy your application, code in your local, and deploy in cloud. And you have to manage your data. Of course, data is your data, so you have to manage. You cannot give it to the third-party providers because your data is a secured one. You should not share it outside the world. Okay, so all you are going to manage is your application and data. Rest everything is managed by cloud. So you log into AWS website, click spin a server. Your server will be ready in a fraction of a minute, and then you just deploy your application, and your application is ready, and you can just test your application. That's the features of cloud. That's the benefit. And software as a service is like any application, right? If you use Gmail, or if your company wants to use any app, let's say Zoom or YouTube or whatever it is, it's a software. And you are not going to put your data there. You are not going to deploy your application there, but you are going to use your feature. Say, for example, in your website, or if you are any website, you are giving link to your YouTube channel or something, right? You're just going to use the existing feature by YouTube. You're not going to develop a YouTube application, right? So that's what software as a service. You're just going to use the software. Further, you are not going to use any of your application or data. Okay, now coming to certifications. Okay, there are a lot of opportunities in cloud. Okay, if you want to get into cloud, what is the best way? If you want to know about cloud, what is the best way? What are all the certifications you can do? As a college graduate, what are the certification you can do? How it's going to help you in your college placements, or once you're out of your college, how it's going to help you in a company also. Once you join your company also, definitely it's going to help you. So it's better because this cloud is just booming now. So it's better if you have the knowledge and certifications it will be, cloud will be there in the industry for at least next 4 to 5 years for sure. Okay, and after that some next gen will come, but till that cloud is a very booming one in IT industry. So for that you need to learn something about cloud, right? So there are some major certifications in the cloud which most of the IT people will do. The first one is AWS certification. AWS is an Amazon cloud service provider. So they will give you different certifications like cloud developer, cloud professional, cloud architect, cloud practitioner. Practitioner is a beginner level, and professional is a next level, and developer is the tech lead level, and then architect. So it's not like you are only a developer level is there in the cloud. There is an architect level also. Once you grow in IT industry, ideally you will become, after your 12 13 years experience, you will become an architect or technical manager. So for becoming an architect, you need to have knowledge about all the domains. Okay, so for that, if you want to know about more in cloud domain, you need to do some certifications which will give you some confidence, and it will add a value to your profile also. So you need to know what is cloud. Architect will need to know what are the cloud service provider and what are the opportunities in cloud and how they can use in our application. That's what architect will think. And as a developer, you need to know, suppose infrastructure engineer, till these days infrastructure engineer will configure everything for you, but now with cloud coming into picture, you can do the configuration by you. So you need to know how to do the configurations. All those things are all those things are provided in the certifications, cloud practitioner certifications. If you do the cloud practitioner certifications, you will get an idea. Okay, this is how I'm going to create a server. This is how I'm going to deploy a server, deploy an application in server. So you will get an idea, and it will definitely help your team and projects in your company, and your job opportunities also will be there. Okay, in US, I'm talking in US, India, I'm not sure, but in US there is a huge opening for cloud professionals, and the salary is very high for US for cloud professionals. Okay, and coming to next one is Google Cloud. First major one is AWS, and next major one is Google Cloud Platform. Google Cloud Platform is provided by Google. Okay, so that's also a very famous one. But most of the companies uses AWS for now, and GCP also booming little bit. And then there is one provided by Microsoft, which is Microsoft Azure, and then one provided by Red Hat, which is Red Hat OpenShift Professional. So all these are major certifications. You can just Google it. I can also share the link to Kritik. He can post it in the channel and Telegram also. So you guys can use it. Okay, and what other opportunities it brings? Okay, now you are going to deploy your application in some third-party providers. Okay, till these days you own your application server, so you handle your security. Okay, you know your application better, you know your server better, so you can write any rule and have a great security for everything. Now with cloud coming into picture, you are going to deploy your application into a third-party cloud providers. Okay, so how secure is your application? As I mentioned, security is one of the greatest thing in the IT industry, and for every application, security is very much needed. Okay, because it's everything is a customer data. I'm working in a financial domain, and say credit card industry. Okay, credit card is stored in the application server. If my data is if someone steals my data, then ideally they can take every money, right? So that's what security is very important in the IT industry, not only for financial domain, for every industry, for every domain, security is very important. So now you are deploying your application in some third-party servers. You have to make sure your application is so secure, because third-party servers, anyone can hack it. So apart from whatever even the AWS, Google, everything they provided the security also. They have security features and they have excellent security features. But on top of it, what security you are going to implement? That's the security opportunities it brings, and cyber security management. And as I mentioned, you are going to store the data in third party. Okay, so you need to encrypt the data. Okay, if someone takes the data also, they cannot decrypt without your decryption key. So you have to make sure you encrypt the data properly and store it. And then networking, infrastructure management, and automation. So in the traditional world, your infrastructure engineer will deploy your application in a server. I said, right? Support engineers, first role, support engineers. They will deploy your application. Now with cloud coming into picture, it's a one-click deployment. How you can easily automate, even with one click also, how you can easily automate the application. So all these are the different opportunities it's coming through this cloud platform. Okay, so these are different domains which people are working. Even if you go to certifications also, they have a certifications for developer role, they have a certifications for infrastructure role, and they have a certifications for networking role, and they have a AWS certification for security role also. So you can do all those things, and if you are interested in security domain, you can pick the security, and definitely it will be a great opportunity for you guys. Okay, so that's all I have about this session. And if you have any questions, you can just ping in the channel, and we can discuss now. And over to you, Kriti. Okay, you are going to read it, or? Okay, so Pranesh, JDK is a Java development kit. I'm not sure what background you are from. If you are a computer science students, so you write a coding, right? And to compile a code, you need a JDK basically. So you cannot simply deploy a code into a server. First, you write a code in a Java language. You have to compile and just convert it into a machine understandable language. For that, JDK is used. Yeah, definitely it will be helpful because as I said, right, cloud computing is booming a lot in IT industry now. At least for next 4 to 5 years, everyone is moving towards cloud. Every industry is moving towards cloud. So if you take, uh, I'm working for a major banking client, and in my application, we are moving away from traditional servers to everything. We are migrating to cloud. So there is a huge opportunities for us in the project term. And if you have a knowledge during your college days, definitely that will be very useful for you. Just do the certification additional to your projects. Definitely it will help you a lot in your interviews. Okay, so you want to showcase your resume, or you want to showcase your development skills. What you can do is, if you are a computer science student, or if you are interested in learning programming, there are a lot of websites where you can learn programming. I'll share those too. Okay, so you can just develop a small website. Uh, I mean, small HTML based pages, and then you can go to AWS. Okay, I mentioned, I share the link also. If you go to AWS, you can get a free account for 1 year. If you log in now, not only now, any new account will get a free account, free tier for 1 year. So what you can do is you can just develop your knowledge on cloud also. Parallelly, you can develop your knowledge on programming also, web programming also. So you create your own website, and then go to the AWS and try to deploy your application there. You will get your website. Okay, yeah, definitely it will helpful. As I said, there are a lot of opportunities. So from certification perspective, I told you, right, AWS is doing great now. So you can just, AWS, you have to see the cost also, which one is comfortable for you guys. So AWS is there, because for all the certification, you have to pay something. It's not like a free certification. You have to pay upfront and then only take the certification. So you can just go to the AWS website and see what certification suits you, because I don't know what your interest is. If you are interested in testing, some people will be interested in testing, and some people will be interested in networking, and some people will be interested in security. So if you have some any idea or any interest in some specific domain, you can do the certification in that domain. Otherwise, cloud developer will be a very helpful certification. AWS, Amazon certified cloud developer, that will be, or Google certified cloud developer will be a very helpful certification. Certifications in cloud, or is it just any certifications, general certifications? Okay, see, any certifications you do in your college is like your additional benefits to your resume. Okay, it's not necessary you need to do the certification, then only you will get a job. Certification is just like a additional resume, additional future you can showcase. I had did this certification in my college, so you can showcase I already have knowledge in this topic or in this area, which will boost up your resume. Okay, you can do whatever certification you want, like any Java certification. You guys are CSE guys, right? So you can do Oracle certified Java developer. That will be very helpful because ideally that's what you are going to get trained once you get into place also. So you can do the certification in Python. Python is also booming now. So if you do Python certification, data science or data intelligence industry is another booming industry. AI, machine learning, you might have session previously, right? So that is another booming industry. So for that in AI industry, Python is used majorly compared to Java. So if you guys are interested in artificial intelligence, you can do Python, certifications in Python. Otherwise, you go with Java and have some programming knowledge and then do the cloud certification. Don't go with cloud certification directly. Okay. First, just do some programming knowledge. You no need to do certifications in programming, but you can just have some knowledge and then do certifications. Otherwise, you can have some certifications in Java, which will be helpful for you guys. Okay.